Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to join us. It's so wonderful to see friends here at the Rosette and to see a bunch of new friends here at the Rosette as well. It means a lot that you're here. This is a program that's really, really important to us and important to a lot of people in our community. And so we're really excited anytime we get to hear an update. I'm excited to hear an update about it because I'm going to hear things that I haven't heard yet about what's happening in the community through ACG Music and Healing. This is a 10-year-old program, so that's kind of a neat milestone. We started working in music and healing, officially the Lullaby Project specifically, in 2014. So here in 2024, we're kind of celebrating, if you will, 10 years of this specific service. From my standpoint, looking at ACG as an organism overall, I think we learned a lot from this particular program. In 2014, we were 13 years into building our education systems. And the education systems by that point had grown quite a lot. We were in almost every Austin ISD school by 2013. We were 3 years into working in the juvenile justice system and had really started to see interesting results and just learning about the ways in which music can operate in a spiritual space, in a way of connecting people over time. And there's that old adage that music goes places words cannot. And that was something that we were witnessing on a daily basis. But even so, stepping into the Lullaby Project in 2014 stretched us, first of all, challenged us, and then taught us, even in a more deep and kind of profound way, the ways in which music can create space. And that taught us in reverse about how we were educating, actually informed some of our educational practices, started to help us understand how we train teachers in a better way, how we can open up and be sensitive and help folks to grow, and also taught us a lot about what our real goals are in music education beyond teaching people to put their fingers in the right place and make the right kinds of sounds, which is of course an important part of it as well. So I just want to say a few little words of welcome. And if you don't know me, I'm Matt Hensley. I'm Executive Director of ACG, and I'll turn this over to our Director of Music and Healing and Education here in just a second. But I'd like to say that we have some wonderful t-shirts for the Lullaby Project specifically that are beautiful, made by an artist in our community who created an artwork in honor of the program, and it's beautiful. And Pietro's wearing one of those t-shirts actually right now. But we've got a bunch of those t-shirts, and so if you'd like to have one, you can have one on the way out today. Please pick one up. I think we're going to locate them and put a bunch on our table. The other thing is that we've just worked to create a new art display in our gallery on the second floor, which is all about music and healing. So if after today you want to spend a little bit of time, there's QR codes next to each image that takes you to the songs or the stories that are related to each image. And this is also something that if you leave today and you're inspired and you want to talk to somebody else that you know about music and healing, the work that's happening here, we welcome you to come on back. Bring a friend, and I'll take you on a tour of the gallery and kind of spread the word. Along those lines, we need help. This is not a fundraising event this morning, but it could be. So if something sparks for you during this presentation and you decide you'd like to get more involved, we have a newsletter specific to music and healing because there's so much beauty that's coming out of this program all the time. It's more than we can share on our main news channels. And so, but if you would like to hear the lullabies as they're written, or hear the other songs as they're written, or hear the stories from the program on a more regular basis, that's a different newsletter. If you want to sign up for it, get my card. If you want to donate to this program, get my card. If you have maybe a partner, because we work with a lot of care providers, maybe you're connected to a care provider or a certain community and you wish that this program was there, get my card or talk with Travis, because that's all I'll do is connect you with him anyway. Travis is an amazing human being. Travis Marcum has been kind of my partner here at ACG in building the work that we do. We're coming up on 20 years together of doing this work. Travis is our Director of Education. And so if you know anything about all of that work, it's really been under his auspices. and he also runs Music and Healing for us. So Travis Marcum, come on up and take it away.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see everyone here. I see lots of friends that I know are aware of the program, are aware of what we do at Music and Healing. I have family here, we have artists here. So it's really a wonderful thing today to talk specifically about connection to individuals and connection to community through music. As Matt said, I'm Director of Education and Music and Healing. This has been a long journey of creating this program, really starting from the notion that we all need healing. So I want to throw that out there, that we're certainly not talking about others in what we do talk about today, but rather all of us together. I think today, especially, I would invite you to pay attention to yourself, your body, breathe, calm. As we listen to music today, allow that music to do its job, which is an incredible job. The things that we know music can do are things like lower anxiety and stress, lower blood pressure, people who are experiencing pain, they report less pain when music is just in the environment, right? Music triggers dopamine release, which we take all kinds of medications to do that for us, and music can do it just by being in the room. Many of you are probably aware that for Alzheimer's or dementia patients, that music can access centers in our brain involved with memory recall and can improve that function just from the presence of music in a space. Now, these are all therapeutic outcomes, right? These are things that music therapists think about as far as introducing music, and these are the biological or mental or emotional outcomes that we look for. At ACG, we're not music therapists, right? We are artists, and we really think about this work from an artistic outcome. We think about the connections we can make, and really the platform for expression. And that's the magic here, is just setting the stage for someone to say what they feel, what they believe, what they need to say. And when we have that goal centered in a musical outcome, it's easier, right? I think for us, many of us have not been taught how to express freely. Some of us have, and consider yourself very lucky, right? If that's something that happens in a really fluid way. But I would argue that probably most of us aren't just really able to let feelings flow, to identify our feelings and then put them in a space and offer them to others. So that's really where I think something truly amazing happens in this program. And I think it's especially that's true for people going through specific challenges, but again, also true for all of us. So we mentioned a few things that happen just with music in an environment, but what we do in this program is really make music with people in all kinds of different ways. And that is where that avenue of expression happens. That is where that avenue for processing happens. And I think especially in the case of songwriting, we might be able to develop some emotional coping skills, some ways to deal with emotions that are positive. And I know that's true for me. When I write a song, I feel better, right? And it's as simple as that. So today, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the program. For those of you who don't know about the program, we're going to talk to some amazing people today. We have Anne from Red Oak Hope who's going to join us and talk about our partnership there. So you'll learn about their organization and the work there. And we're also going to hear from one of our artists and participants from our program at Foundation Communities who are going to perform an original song for us as well. As Matt said, in 2014, this really started when we partnered with Carnegie Hall for Lullaby Project. We were mainly teaching before that. We were thinking about educational outcomes before that. But healing wasn't absent from that either, right? We were working, I personally was working in a juvenile detention center for 5 years prior to that. And teaching in that setting, I became very aware of the positive impact of making music with young people, and especially young people who need an outlet so desperately. We have about a dozen local partners that we work with. That includes clinical spaces like Dell Children's Hospital, St. David's NICU, community care, integral care. These are some local kind of clinical spaces where we have different partnerships. We also work in other sort of social service organizations like Red Oak Hope, like Any Baby Can. That might be one that you know. And we do Lullaby Project there. We do all kinds of different things. For example, I think our biggest thing that we do is we partner an individual artist with an individual community member who's involved in these organizations, and the two spend time together. That could be 3 hours. That could be 8 sessions, each one being an hour and a half, and they create music together. There are no boundaries, there are no really rules to the time they spend together, other than we talk, we create a narrative, and we place that narrative into a musical space. It may not even involve words. It might be all about the words. In that way, because the format is so flexible and because we have so many partners, for me personally, this has been a way to connect to my community in ways I couldn't have imagined. I'm a pretty private person. It takes a lot to get me like out and engaging in groups. And so, pre-2014, I had my teaching, I have my friend group and family, and that's about it. Since Music and Healing has gotten off the ground and we're out in these spaces, I think it's been a tremendous gift for me personally to meet individuals in all corners of our Austin community. And I think that it's a way to learn about the environment that you live, the space you live, and what's going on around you. And this wasn't available to me prior, so I'm really thankful for that. We have 7 professional artists on our staff. I think Arnold's here. So we've got Arnold. He's one of our artists, amazing guitarist. Arnold's one of the kindest people you will ever meet. I was talking to, I think, Anne earlier, or Heather or Anne said, you just have great people, right? You just have great people doing this work. That is absolutely true. Because this work is so sensitive, because we have to build that connection or we didn't do our job, it's people like Arnold that are core to that mission and can do that in healthy, responsible, joyful ways. So thank you. We also have Shayna, who's back in the green room. She's not here at the moment. She's going to play for you later. But she's another amazing artist, singer, songwriter, and classical guitarist who works in the program. We also have a new artist on staff who is also a social worker and a social work professor at UT. So he kind of wears 2 hats, musician and social workers. So we have some truly amazing people. These people excel in all kinds of art forms, and whether it's jazz, pop, and R&B, rock music, blues, classical music, opera. They do it all. So they're really inspiring in lots of different ways. In addition to those individual collaborations between artists and participant, we also have some classes, just general sort of group community spaces where people can come together and make music. Foundation Communities is an example of one of these programs. We have 2 spaces, Waterloo Terrace and at Capitol Studios downtown, where Shayna goes and just hosts a weekly music group. Anyone in the space can come make music, we can write music, we can learn, and it's really become kind of a centerpiece for kind of the creative and social atmosphere in those spaces. So most of the time when we work with a new organization, we ask them what they need first. And we take that information, collaborate, and build something that's gonna be best for that space. So in the case of Foundation Communities, we wanted people to come out of their rooms, to come into a central space and just be with each other, right? I want to share, this is kind of our general workbook that we use in some of those sessions that I was talking about with artists and individual. This is a way to, as it says, get our ideas flowing. When we sit down with a person, it's often about building trust, right? I don't know about you, but I wouldn't spill my guts with just an absolute stranger. And so it takes a little bit of time to have that conversation and talk about the things. You can see these questions sort of graduate in intensity as we go down the page to questions that are really, really powerful and at the center of our being, like what scares us and what makes us feel calm, anger and hope, and these sort of bigger questions, right? So when we sit down, we have some conversations and then invite people to think about these questions. And I'm gonna invite you to think about any one of these questions right now. And just like we would in a session, I'm gonna noodle on my guitar and just make some sounds. And I want you to just choose one of these and think about it. As you're thinking, be aware of any words or string of words that really pops out to you. So if there's something like, yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to make, just remember that, okay? So as you're thinking, probably something came up, right? Probably everyone has something that's important to them in this moment. This is the process of what would happen if you were an individual sitting in the space, is just this open, sort of patient thinking. If someone would like to share the word or words that came to mind, you're certainly welcome to do that. Would anybody like to? Yeah, Arnold.
I chose what makes me feel calm. At the moment, I've been reading a lot. I like kind of like rom-commy things.
Mm-hmm.
But it really makes me feel calm just to sit and in the morning, especially lately, just kind of having a cup of coffee and just taking like 20 minutes to read something.
Nice. Nice. So is there like a way that reading makes you feel that we can sort of encapsulate in a word or two?
Just takes me out of personal situations
Yeah.
that I'm going through and just frees my mind a little bit.
Yeah. Oh.
Whatever world I'm reading.
Oh. So reading frees your mind. It takes you away.
Yeah, and it's a good way to start the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, from a music and healing artist standpoint, is gold, right? Those few words that Arnold just said, it takes me away, it frees my mind. Those are two phrases that could be a song, could be an entire song. You don't need any more words, right? Absolutely. And, it's visceral. We can relate, and it's something that Arnold needed to say in that moment. From that springboard point is where we would start making music and say, does this fit your idea? Does this sound contribute to those words? And we would definitely have a lot of no's. That's not it. Oh, I don't like that. I'd really prefer this or that. Or maybe there's a song that I love that sounds like what this is trying to say, and let's try and make it sound like that. And I'll give you another example. For me, right, I've talked to a few people about this. My 11-month-old baby is sick right now, and if you've ever had a sick baby, it's tough, right? On lots of levels, and thank you to my wife Amelia, who's home with Andre right now. But what's on my mind, is what came up to me when I was playing that was this sort of phrase that I've never worried or loved so much, right? And I think those of you, everyone can relate, right? You've been in that space, but that I've never worried or loved so much. To me, that's a musical thing. That's a poetic thing. So it's all about finding that poetry and exploiting it. That's not a good word, but and so when I think musically, it might be something like very calming, but also challenging. And for me, that's like. That's what came out, right? And so it's this constant collaboration, right? And back and forth. And that's how we do this work. Thank you for participating in that. Here's an example of our workbook from Lullaby Project. And this is actually, narrative that was written through Lullaby Project that we're given permission to share. This is actually the first lullaby that I ever wrote with someone in 2014. And so you can see when you prompt these kinds of ideas, the floodgates can open. And we get so much in here. Allie wrote a letter to her son, Jace, who is now 12. Wow. And then we came up with a beautiful song together that she sang. We didn't have an artist sing it, she sang it. So this is kind of an example of lullaby project and the exercise that you just did. When we get into the session, it's very fluid, but I wanted to show you a quick clip of Tony Mariano and his wife Camille Schiess, she's an amazing violinist. He's our community education director here at ACG, and they're working with Jessica and James to write a lullaby. This is about 40 minutes after starting the session. Isn't that amazing that can just come out in a moment? It's not only amazing, it's just sweet, right? You've got James there. Jessica had something to say to James, and Camille and Tony helped her say that in a song, and they made a beautiful song. You can listen to all of our Lullabies and Music and Healing songs on SoundCloud, and so you can search Austin Classical Guitar there and find everything that we made. I think we've done about 140 songs at this point through the years, each one so unique, right? But I wanted to share this one. That's at Any Baby Can. All right. In addition to kind of the spaces I mentioned, we do work in other spaces where people are going through exceptionally challenging things, like mental health diagnoses, physical diagnoses, Texas Oncology, Livestrong Cancer Institutes, and these are similar in structure. We have artist partnerships, but really, there's a sensitivity and a weight to those spaces that feels sort of urgent, if that makes sense. It's like we really need to do this together. We have had many, many songs written through these partnerships, and again, you can go and hear those on SoundCloud, and had just truly life-changing experiences making art. In those organizations, we're typically referred to directly from the oncologist or the provider, where they have a particular patient who they know would enjoy writing a song, and so they call us and connect us. So I want to move ahead here. Next, I'd like to share a video of an organization we work with called Red Oak Hope. We've been working together for a number of years now, and it's one of our strongest partnerships in a lot of ways, but I think in a big way, our artists and staff have gotten really close to their staff and the work that they do. I think we are both sort of blown away at what each of us do, if that makes sense. And it's been a really beautiful relationship for a while. They produced a really beautiful video about what they do, that it also includes some of our partnerships. So I wanted to share that. This video is about 4 minutes, so you can adjust your attention accordingly.
My name is Haley Patterson, and I am the Director of Programs here in Austin for Red Oak Hope. We are dedicated to seeing freedom, hope, and restoration for survivors of sexual exploitation.
My name is Heather Moga, and I'm the Director of Program Development. This means I get to think about the how of accomplishing our mission in the day-to-day alongside staff, as well as thinking about how we want to grow our impact.
I am the social worker serving as the case manager for our transitional housing clients as well as community clients. My role is to meet with clients and help them determine what their goals are, and then lead the team in supporting the clients in meeting those goals. After meeting with the client and establishing what her next steps are, I'll get together with the rest of the team and figure out how they can come alongside and support. So that will look like Anne meeting one-on-one with the client during Restore, and Heidi being with the client in the day-to-day life skills. One big goal that one of our clients has right now is to learn how to drive. And this client has been diagnosed with intellectual disability, and so learning is really complex for her. She needs things broken down into really tiny bite-sized chunks. So driving is obviously a really big and hard thing to learn.
The Restore program provides individual and holistic supports for resilient responses to free and independent living. The Restore program is centered around 3 basic pillars of connection: a connection to self, a connection to community, and a connection to a predictable space. Myself and our residential coordinator, Heidi, hosted a taco night for our friends in our transitional housing program, and we spent some time cooking tacos and invited them over, and we all ate together, and we did some icebreakers that involved some questions about the things that we love, things that we don't like. So it was so great. It's one of the things that we allow them to participate in something predictable, which is our space, and a community event together to have a sense of belonging, and come together and eat a meal that was cooked for them, and to feel a sense of belonging and community. Austin Classical Guitar provided the Lullaby Project for one of our friends, and the connection to self was a huge pillar that this client got to access.
Oftentimes when our clients come in, they might not have talked about the trauma that they've experienced, or they might have stuffed it down in order to survive and keep moving. And so something like Austin Classical Guitar gives them a chance to pause and slow down and think about what they have walked through and what they've survived, but in a creative way and in a way that feels very therapeutic to them. Being able to hear something that she has created. She obviously cares about her baby and loves her baby so deeply. And especially to hear the refrain over and over, the todo ha cambiado, everything has changed.
Todo ha cambiado, todo ha cambiado. Desde que llegaste a mi.
So that is one beautiful piece of working with Austin Classical Guitar, is that it allows clients to reflect, but it also allows them to feel really hopeful and excited about what's next too. In this work, you actually don't get to see the finish line for these clients. You don't get to see the end of their story, but we do get to be a stop on the road. And so when we do have those moments where we're seeing a client be able to sit and reflect, be hopeful, and really be present in the moment, that's really impactful, I think, for all of our staff.
We have a vision of continuing to provide supportive transitional housing and hopefully meet the needs of survivors through emergency shelter and stabilization programming.
We are committed, excited, equipped, and full of hope to continue this faithful work while also growing our programs to serve more friends along the continuum of healing. Will you join us?
Aren't they great? I'd love to ask Anne to join me up here to talk a little bit about the partnership. Let's welcome Anne. Good morning. Can you, thanks for being here. Thank you so much. And can you kind of tell us a little bit more about what you do with Red Oak Hope and what your day-to-day looks like?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me and inviting us to be and share y'all's space, because it is always so fruitful. So I just appreciate being here. So, like the video said, I'm the director of the Restore program within our transitional housing program. And what this program provides are holistic and individual support. So that looks like a myriad of ways depending on what friend I'm face to face with. And we create supports for them so they can access the program more efficiently, more effectively, based on what their goals are. So our friends come in to our transitional housing program, and they may have many goals that they work with case management on. And the day-to-day, being able to actually settle into yourself, into a place where you feel safe, you have shelter, you have access to food, and I'm going to say it again, you have access to safety. That is a new experience for a lot of our friends. This new experience doesn't always elicit a cognitive response of, yes, great, I'm going to go and create all of these long-term goals for myself. A lot of our friends have actually never experienced what it's like to have the creative process and then the safety to go into a space of forward future thinking of themselves. So a lot of our friends have been in situations pervasively, chronically, and for many, many years where their only job is to survive for the next day. And when you're chronically in that space, what happens to your nervous system is that's how you start to problem solve all the time. And so to come into a space and just be able to access your future self when you don't even know what that future self looks like, you don't know what hair color that future self has, you don't know what that future self feels like, what it feels like to walk around in a space where you can leave your house and come back at any time that you want. Those kind of things really impact our ability to have that future thinking and have that future thought. And so what the Restore program does is comes up under our clients and helps them access what their future self looks like. That's just one example. And then the day-to-day, the little nuances that we use on a daily basis to get our goals met are based on safety and connection with people, connection with our spaces. And a lot of our friends have never had that experience. So we that have privilege of this kind of connection, we build resilience through meeting these goals on a day-to-day basis. So if something happens and the toilet breaks in the morning, you can get through that because you have connection to maybe someone that knows what they're doing, or you know that you can go to the work and there's a toilet that works there. Those little nuanced ways of resilient thinking to get through all of the little cracks, to get to the goal of the end of the day of whatever you had to do, that's a privileged experience that we have that our friends don't experience. And so the Restore program comes up under them and gives them access to those experiences. So for example, one of our friends, we use something called you prepare something, you execute something, there's a consequence, and then there's a repair. That way of thinking, you can think that, and then your body has some feelings about it. It might have some feelings when there's a consequence. It could be good, it could be bad. And so I walk through that with them. So this particular friend, we made food. We made hand rolls. And so the whole time, what's the plan? Okay, the plan is we're gonna get the water and get the rice, and we don't have enough rice. Well, that actually can stunt a lot of our friends, and then they might give up, turn around, and just be like, oh, I'll go to Wendy's or do something different. But that we want to build resilience. And so a lot of what the Restore program helps do is build that resilience through all kinds of different experiences, activities that we do within the Restore room, and then within our community.
Well, it strikes me that there's so much involved. Like when we say we're going to connect with someone, we might be able to help them through a difficult time. There's so much moment to moment involved in that process, right? And that's where you all are experts, right? And amazing in your own personal connection. And I'm wondering, how did you see, maybe specifically with this project with Michael, how do you see music playing a role in that process?
This is so, I could talk forever about this actually. So as humans, we really have to metabolize our experiences. We have to metabolize them cognitively, and we have to metabolize them within ourselves and our bodies, especially when there's traumatic events, right? The metabolism of going through that traumatic event is very important, and connection is key. Our nervous system tends to prepare a response that either connects or protects us. And a lot of our friends have chronically, their nervous system goes to protect all the time, right? And so what music and healing has given us space for is to basically reroute our friends' nervous systems to connection. And reroute their nervous systems into creating a new story. Because as we know, our heads can create stories that aren't true. And those narratives become jagged, and they become important to our survival, but they become jagged and a little bit broken. And what music and healing has provided for this particular client through the Lullaby Project is a new space that is safe, that is connective, and she got to write a new story. So she got to write a new story about this event that happened. So her particular, a very small portion of her story is that her baby was born very prematurely due to a sexual assault. And the jaggedness of what happened and the nuances of all of her experience through the hospital system, through everything, her nervous system had to make sense of it and protect, right? And what music and healing provided, what Michael provided as a person that is slow, is gentle, is welcoming, what that provided is a brand new narrative. So this event that she used to not be able to even talk about without large emotions that overwhelmed her, through the Lullaby Project, it became a soft narrative that it gave to her. Now this narrative was not only the trauma, right? Because what we at Red Oak Hope really want our friends to know is that, and all of us to know, is that we are not our trauma. That is not us. It is something that happened to us, but it is not us. And yes, when we reshape it, which the Lullaby Project helps reshape it in a way that serves us now. And now that story serves her, and it serves her baby in a way into healing and freedom.
It was really quite a beautiful thing to see. We knew that this particular project was going to be extra sensitive, right? And when we walked in with Michael, who is a social worker, who understands that process, and the four of us all sat down with baby, we had some food, and we went through kind of a grounding exercise first. We started talking. We realized that I and my wife and my baby had been in the NICU at the exact same time, and she recognized us. She was like, "You were 2 doors down," essentially, from where we were. So that's the type of sort of connection we never would have made without this space. But we had Michael, who's really thinking about the art and the music that they're making. We have Anne, who deeply knows this person and is figuring out what she needs on a larger, more holistic level. And we can just focus on making the music, and so many beautiful things happen as a result, right? And now she has this thing that she can sing and play for her baby forever. It's this lasting fact of the time that we spent, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the group this morning?
I mean, I don't want to make this a fundraiser either, but I will. Healing is a co-creative process. We believe that at Red Oak Hope, and without people like music and healing and you all at ACG, the co-creative process can't be what it is. And the creative pieces that music does bring, the getting out of our thinking head and into our feeling body, and is a very important part of the co-creation that evolves healing. And it really can't be done without people like y'all. It can't. And I know it takes funding to make it work. So that's my only plug. And then also, thank you for letting us co-create for ourselves and for our own healing, and then for the healing of so many people. So we're just really grateful for y'all.
Oh, thank you, Anne, so much. And thank you, Red Oak Co. We appreciate it. One thing that I didn't mention is that we often offer these services for the staff that we work with, right? So when we're in clinical spaces or at Any Baby Can, there's all kinds of people working in that environment, and we always say, hey, do you want to write a song? Do you want to play something, sing something, say something as well? Not as many takers, but that is always out there. Okay, so I would love, we're gonna take a moment to listen to some of the music that's created. We can go ahead and get Shayna and Eden ready. We're gonna hear an original song written by Eden. This is part of our Foundation Communities program. Eden is amazing, and Shayna and her have been working together in that sort of community class setting for a number of years now. And every once in a while we work with someone who is an overachiever musically. And Eden certainly fits that bill, and she's been working hard as an artist. Shayna's spent a ton of time, and they have a really beautiful relationship making music together. So I'd love to welcome Shayna and Eden together to play a song for you.
Everyone, this is Yellow Paper Birds. Yellow paper birds taking chances to hit the sky. Fearsome creatures among us, who knows why? Dust in the air, cellophane in the veins, friend or foe, trying to stay sane. Crows are circling, they don't want me to fly, want me to deny I meant to shine high. Fire burning under me, miles and miles out. Looks like I can't stay on the ground. The fear of trying hard, not being worth your while. Sounds of other success always ringing in your head. Windows to fly out to that other life. It'll take your seconds, but it must be worth the fight. Been told I am grounded here, I'll never fly free, but I hear something up there calling for me. The fear of trying hard, not being worth your while. Sounds of other success always ringing in your head. Windows to fly out to that other life. It'll take your seconds, and it is worth the fight. Yellow paper birds taking chances. I know I'm launching for flight. Vultures listening as I am struggling to find my ground, my earth, my home, burning under me. Miles and miles now. Looks like I can't stay on the ground. The fear of trying hard, not being worth your while. Sounds of other success all success ringing in my head. Windows that fly out to my new life. It's taken my seconds, and it is worth the fight.
Thank you, Shayna. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful song. Thank you, Eden. Thank you, Shayna. I love how that song just goes like this, right? And we have such joy at the end there. Thank you all for being here this morning. We have a few minutes if there are some questions or things you'd like to talk about. Thank you, Anne. Thank you to our performers. And of course, if there's anyone here who's involved with the organizations that we partner with, thank you so much. Our artists, thank you. Yeah, I've had a really good time sharing with you this morning. So. Yeah, is there anything, any questions about what we do in this program? Anything you'd like to share or ask?
I have a question.
Yes.
Or it's a question. You also do work with hospice, right?
Yes, we do. So sometimes I'll be, like at Dell Children's, for example, I work with the music therapists there. And a music therapist is a formal provider. That is something that's billed by a hospital. They know all these amazing things that I know nothing about. But what they can do is say, okay, I have a young patient, and it's usually someone who's there long-term for transplant or in oncology, things like that. And they'll say, this kiddo really wants to play guitar and make some music. And I go in and bedside, we'll play guitar together, we'll write songs, write music, kind of whatever we feel like doing that day. That's really the only place we go in to the hospital, and all other places we're referred outside. And so we'll meet sometimes remotely. So like if we're working with people undergoing cancer treatment, they may not be able to be around people who might be sick. So we'll do that over Zoom as well. Yeah. Yes?
I was curious as to how artists like sign up for this program.
How do we recruit or sign up artists? Yeah, that's a great question. So far, this has been really, Arnold was one of our first artists, actually, because I know Arnold. And we've worked together for many, many years. And then we have a program manager, Claire Puckett, who will sort of put the word out to the music community in general. We're always wanting to talk to people who are interested in this work. But for the most part, we have an amazing venue here. We have an organization that is really a complete ecosystem of art. And there's performing, there's teaching. We know so many people, and they'll come to us at this point and say, "Hey, I'm really moved by this work. I'm a musician, and I want to be a part." And that's how we have our artists now. But we're always open and always looking, especially for artists who are bilingual or speak different languages. We have artists who speak Spanish and English, of course, French as well. But we always have a need for that.
Is it seen as volunteer work, or is it seen as like?
Oh, no, we pay for sure. That's a great question. So our artists are paid for their work. I mean, when we look at each of these individual songwriting projects, roughly around $1,000 is what we put towards each of those. Could be more, could be less, but we certainly pay our artists. It's important to us.
Okay, and then also, how often, or I guess like how often would you meet like with your clients?
So.
How long are the sessions, I guess?
It depends, right? So we have different models, short-term and long-term. And so for some folks, they can't plan 8 sessions, right? Their life just doesn't allow for that. So we have sort of a condensed session where we might spend 2 hours together, do a field recording with just a computer and a mic, and make something quick but also deep and meaningful. But we also have projects where we spend 8 weeks, 12 weeks, maybe once a week with our partner, because that particular project needs the space and time to do it right. Yeah. Thank you for those questions. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, I know we have some more food, I believe. If you would like some tacos and pastries, go upstairs and check out the posters. We just put those up. You can, thank you, Angelica, for doing that. We have, you can see examples of all kinds of the work that we do, and hang around and say hello. We appreciate you.